Hi everyone, thanks for checking out this video. So just to remind you guys kind of what we're doing here, the goal of this video series is to teach you guys how to write like a neural network from scratch in Julia. And basically we're going to be trying to like recreate this actual Julia package that I made, SimpleGrad.jl. This is basically like a package I've been working on in my free time that is like it's one of its goals is to be usable for like actual applications, but another goal is to be educational so that you can like look under the hood and understand actually how it works. And the goal of this video series is to teach you guys basically how to build out this package completely from scratch, just with like raw Julia code. So yeah, this is the third lesson in this series. In the previous lesson, we wrote all of this code that I have here. So if any of this is confusing to you guys, if you haven't seen the previous lesson, please go back and check that out. But yeah, so far this is where we should be at. Yeah, this is what we have so far. So basically, what we can do at this point is we can define values like this. Make another one here. And then yeah, we can print them out. I mean, the Jupyter Notebook's kind of doing that for us automatically, but yeah, we could print them like this if we wanted to also. We can inspect the inside. Remember, x.data is the actual number that it's storing. X.grad is eventually going to be the gradient, but right now that's like a placeholder. And then x.op is the operation that was used to make the value. So when we eventually have something like z equals x plus y, we want to be able to know that z was created using an addition operation of these values x and y. That's going to let us like track all the operations so that we can track the gradient properly. But yeah, when a value is just defined by the user, it's just the dot op is just nothing. And then the other thing we can do at this point is we can compare two values and see if they're the same. And in this case, they're not. But yeah, that's what we have so far. What we can't do so far is we can't actually do this addition operation. We are not able to do that so far because it's like I said, nothing happens automatically for us here. We need to write all this stuff from scratch. So since we're making this new like value data type, Julia doesn't know what to do when we use this plus operator on two values. It doesn't just know what to do. We need to write the code for this explicitly to define what happens when you use the plus operator for two values. And in this lesson, this lesson we're going to actually do that. We're going to write this code to actually allow this addition operation to happen. Okay, so let's get to it. So it's like we've been doing so far. What we need to do is import the base operator itself. So I'm going to say import base.plus, and then we're going to do what's called a method override. So we're going to tell Julia what to do when it sees this plus operator used on two value objects. So we're going to say function plus. And then we're going to say, okay, this is what you do when you see the plus used with two operands called A and B, where A is a value and B is also a value. Okay, so to show you guys what's going to happen, I'm going to partly write this backwards, just because I think it'll maybe make more sense that way. So we're eventually going to return something called result. And we want this to be a value with the answer. So when we say like z equals x plus y, we want z to be a value storing the number that's the sum of the x and y numbers. So I'm just going to say like this should be a value. And we need to construct this value from something, right? We need to actually make this result value. So this result value is going to say, we're going to say result equals value, parentheses, but then how do we do this? How do we actually make this new value? Well, if you guys remember, when we're making a new value, we need to fill out these three fields here. We need to define what the value.data is. Remember, that's the actual number that the value is keeping track of. Then we need to fill out the grad, which is the gradient of the value, and then the op, which is the the operation that was used to make the value. Okay, so yeah, we need value, data, grad, op. Okay, so let's just start with the easy part here. So we can get the sum just by we can't do a plus b because remember these are values. So Julie will not know what to do if we just say this with two values. It won't know what to do. But a.data and b.data are actual numbers. So the .data field is the actual number that is being kept track of. So we can do a.data plus b.data, even though we can't do a plus b yet. A.data plus b.data is just a sum of two regular numbers. So we actually can do this. We can say out equals a.data plus b.data, and this will be the sum. So this will be what we're storing in the result.data. So this will be our first field here. And remember, this is just making it so that when we eventually say like result.data, this will be out, which is the sum of a.data and b.data. So that's just the sum that we want to keep track of with our result value. The gradient is also pretty easy because we don't actually need any real gradient yet. We just want this placeholder. Same thing's up here. Yeah, we just want the 0.0 placeholder for the gradient. Okay, now this is the hard part. The op is actually the hard part. Kind of. It's not that hard. It's harder than the data and the grad, but it's not that hard. It's considering the kind of like amazing stuff we're going to be able to do. We're going to be able to do with these values. Like the op is actually not that complicated the way we're going to track these operations. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say like, okay, what operation was used to make this result? So basically, we're going to make like it. Yeah, we're going to make one of these operation objects here to keep track of what operation was used to make this result. So yeah, what do we need? So we need operation, and then yeah, for this operation object, we need two fields. We need the op and then the args. So we need the op and then the args. So the operation, the op is actually just the operation that was used that we're using here, and it's addition. So this might seem like too simple, but yeah, we're just gonna put the addition operator, the plus sign, right in here. That is going to be the operation.op. Is just literally just the plus sign because this is a addition operation. Args. Args is going to store the values that were used in this operation. So basically, if we have our classic example, z equals x plus y, we want z.op to tell us, first of all, what operation was used to make z, which we want to be plus, and then second of all, what operands were used to make z, which we want to be x and y. So yeah, the actual op is the plus, and then this args we want to be actually a tuple with the operands. We want this to be a tuple with a and b. And if any of this is confusing to you guys, we're gonna test this out with an example in a second to hopefully see. But yeah, this is how we're storing the operation that's going to be in result.op. So at this point, yeah, we have result.data. Whoops, this is supposed to be, not setting it, but this is just comment to tell you guys what it is. Result.data is out. Result.grad equals 0.0 placeholder. And then result.op equals this operation telling us that, okay, this result was created with an addition operation of the operands A and B. Because remember, these are the values that we're using in the operation here. And yeah, we're just going to put this whole thing in this third field here. If you guys remember, when the user is defining a value, this third field is just nothing. But when a value is created with an operation of other values, we're using this operation data type to store the information about how this new value was created. What operation was it, and what were the operands? Okay. So yeah, this might be seeming pretty confusing for you guys at this point. But yeah, this is actually all we need for at least the forward pass of addition. We're going to talk later about how to actually do the backward pass for the gradients. But this should be good, I think, to let us actually do the addition operation between values. Hope I'm not missing anything, but oh, whoops, sorry guys, just forgot a colon there. Yeah, just a little, no big deal there. Just a little. There needs to be for these type definitions, they need to be two colons there. Okay, but yeah, I think we should be good. Okay, so let's try actually testing this out. So say x equals value 2, y equals value 3. All right, moment of truth. Let's see if we can do an addition between x and y here and get another value z out of it. So we'll try z equals x plus y. Print out z. Whoops. Okay, sorry guys. I must have just totally spaced out there. I just totally typed the wrong thing. Yeah, this should be out. I don't know why I even typed data there. Yeah, this should be. Sorry guys, that should be out. Yeah, I must have just kind of spaced out there. But yeah, whatever. Now I think it hopefully should work. Yeah. Okay. We're good. It actually worked. So we defined x and y as values, and then defined z as the sum of them, and then printed out z, and it worked. We have a new value for z, storing the sum, which is 5. Print out z.data. You can print out z.grad, and then this was the confusing part. Remember, z.op, that's the third field telling us about the operation that was used to create z. So we can try z.op. Yeah, and it looks confusing. Yeah, I realize that, guys. It looks confusing here. But let's break down exactly what z.op is storing here. So it's storing, first of all, this is telling us that it's storing an operation object here. It's storing one of these operation objects where, and remember, this is an object with parametric typing. So the type of the object tells us what the function type was and what the arg types are. So this part here is telling us, okay, this is a operation object that's with these type parameters of addition, and then the argument types were values. And remember, the values also have argument types. So this is telling us that the arguments in these values of the operands, the nothing here means that x and y were just defined by the user. And then this is the actual information of the operation object we have. So it's telling us, okay, plus, that's telling us that it's an addition operation. And then these are the two pointers to the operand. So this is pointing us to x, which is value 2, and then y, which is value 3. So that we can go back and like access these operands if we wanted to. And just to see this like even more clearly, we can just print out z.op.op. That's just the addition. So yeah, the z.op.op is the actual operation. It's the op field of this operation object. And then z.op.args is pointing us to the operands so that we can actually access these if we want to. If we want to, we can even change the value of x from 2 to something else by setting it again here. So if we say like, okay, z.op.args, the first one, this is pointing us to x because x was the first argument here. And then the second one, y. Let's go back to x. We could even change the value of x like this if we wanted to. We could reset x to be something else. Maybe set it to be, change the number inside it to be like 12 or something. And then print out x. And yeah, we successfully like accessed x through this z.op field, which is that's gonna play a role later when we start actually doing the gradient backpropagation. But yeah, maybe I'm confusing you guys too much for now. I mean, we'll get to all this stuff later. But yeah, I guess just for now, just realize that we got addition to work. We can make a new value z that's the addition of values x and y. And then when we make a value this way with an operation like that, the op field z.op stores information about how this value was created. It stores the operation type, which was the plus sign in this case, and then the operation arguments, which were x and y. And we can even use those pointers to go back and access the operands like that way if we want to, like z.op.args. This would allow us to access x like we just saw. Yeah, so it looks like we're in good shape. We got addition working. This might seem confusing so far, but after we finish with addition, we have a little bit more to do to actually get the gradients. But after we finish with addition, adding on more operations is going to be easy because we're basically going to be like repeating this block of code for every operation we define and just making like minor changes. So after we finish with addition, it's going to be pretty easy to do all the other operations from there. But yeah, so far we've gotten the forward pass of addition. Now we want to get the backward pass so that we can eventually do this back propagation, say like backward z, and then get the derivative of z with respect to x and y. That's going to be in the next video. I think we've done enough for this video, but yeah, that'll be the next video. We'll be writing this backward pass for the addition operation. So yeah, thanks for watching, and if you guys want to take a look at the code, these notebooks, they'll be up on my GitHub. I'll put a link in the description. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.